Hey guys, welcome in. Sean Salisbury here at Sean Salisbury or Unpaved with Sean Salisbury, whatever you want to call it. Really doesn't matter. It's just the good content you get here. And my guest today, before I bring him in, and I know when you bring in a guy like this and Chipper Jones, you think, oh, baseball, baseball, baseball. We'll talk some baseball and have some fun. But there's a lot of other things I got on my mind. I guarantee you he's about as excited for football as any of us as well. And just a little 8-time All-Star, Silver Slugger Award twice, first pick of the draft, World Series champion, National League MVP, Hall of Fame. Let's not leave the biggest one out. Hall of Fame done. I mean, I'm the only switch hitter ever to, I believe, get with 300 home runs. Let me make sure I get this right, Chipper. I'll get that from you, but 300 home runs and hit over 300 maybe in his career. Maybe I'm wrong, but switch hitter and 8-time All-Star, as good as it gets. And he joins us today. 19-year career. So he withstood the test of time as well. Chipper Jones joins us here on Unpaved. It's great to have you on, my man. I appreciate it. I know I don't mean to take you away from your golf, but I do mean to take you away from it because I want to have you. When I go through resumes, I'm always intrigued. Is what didn't you do? You know, everybody, sometimes the guy's the 10th pick of the draft, not the first. Sometimes the guy hits from the right side, not the right or the left. Some guy makes an all-star team but doesn't make the Hall of Fame. My man, you it's like been set out for you, but I know the hard work that went in. You pretty much accomplished everything you'd like to. Am I correct, Chipper? And it's great to have you on, brother.
Well, thank you for having me, Sean. It's been a long time in the making, us getting together and speaking, but obviously, admire you from afar as well. Excited for the opportunity to talk to you today. Professionally, it's really hard to be disappointed or look back and say, man, I wish I would have done it this way, or I wish I would have accomplished that. It was just, it seemed like it was the way it was supposed to be from the very get-go. I'm the son of a baseball coach. I mean, weren't too many days that our everything didn't revolve around something athletically, and it wasn't just baseball. I think we me and Pops and Mom, we knew where my bread was buttered, obviously on the baseball field. But, man, Friday nights in the South, wearing that football jersey to school for the pep rallies and all that kind of stuff, and, getting recruited, to quite a few D1 schools to play football as well. Everybody always asks me, do you believe in the travel ball and the playing one sport, specializing, if you will, in one sport? And I'm like, man, I can't imagine not playing football in high school. I can't imagine not going into the gym and shooting hoops over the winter. I believe that every sport provides a different discipline for you to become a more well-rounded athlete. Not to mention, here in the South, you're around a different demographic of kid pretty much with every sport as well. So you become a chameleon socially. So, yeah, that's how I feel about things. And, like you said earlier, professionally, there hasn't been too much I would take back.
You talked about football, and you were a hell of a football player. Now you're a Gator fan, right? Chipper, you're a Florida Gator fan from Atlanta, 19 years. Try explaining that one, brother.
Yeah. I grew up an hour outside of Gainesville, so when I was coming up, Emmitt Smith, was one of my big guys. But I actually ended up signing with the University of Miami to play baseball there, and had an opportunity to play football at the U as well if I had gone. And man, I'm glad the Braves made me not have to make that decision.
The roster that went through for, the rosters we're talking about all those years, and from the great history of Miami, aside from football, but the great history of Miami Hurricanes, it would have been pretty cool. But with that, did football, along the way you talked about, did you resist it all? You knew where you said your bread was buttered, but you were a hell of a player and could have thrived. So while football, maybe baseball or football, whatever was your first love, but growing up with a dad who coached you, did you resist it? And in the resistance, did football make you tougher baseball-wise?
Well, I think so. played wide out and free safety, also punted, never really came off the field, to be honest with you, going to Jacksonville Bulls High School. It was. I have coaches to thank for that. Like my head baseball coach was our offensive coordinator. My wide receiver and DB coach played Division I at Vanderbilt. So while I'm sure every time I went across the middle and caught a pass, my baseball coach was probably cringing, like, don't take the knees out. But all I could hear was my Coach Edwards, my wide receiver and cornerback and DB coach, just saying, "Yeah, go get him, LJ." Just like, so there was some give and take there. No, I did not enjoy working at the game of football the way I enjoyed throwing everything I had into the game of baseball, and therefore eventually football would have gone by the wayside.
I know you like you're a guy who likes to spread the glory. I see all your stuff on Twitter and all throughout your career, and listening to you talk and give other teammates credit. And you're such a great storyteller. But when did you know that you were just better than everybody else at base? Honestly, I mean, your career. There's that time we all do it. I don't mean it arrogant, but I just knew, Chippy. There's a time when you say, not that you're going to tell everybody, but that internal clock, that that intrinsic stuff that goes on. You just say, if I stay the course and keep working like I'm not better than everybody else, but that confidence, that drive, you say, you're just better than everybody else. Was there a moment, a time, or was it just the course of the extended time you knew that?
I think you have flashes, when you're growing up as a young kid. All of my friends were 2 and 3 years older than me,
Mm-hmm.
So having to play up to that level also helped in my development, to go along with the fact that my dad knew what the heck he was doing, with the game with teaching the fundamentals and all that involved with baseball. Baseball is a very funny sport because it is a sport that has so much failure in it. And I've seen a ton of guys that have as much or more talent than I did growing up who couldn't handle failure. And I never lost the feeling of there is not one person in that stadium, on this field, playing this game that I want up to the plate with the game on the line more than myself. And I think having that kind of self-confidence and some people would probably look at me and say brash or cocky. Okay, that's fine. My mom called it necessary arrogance. She was like, when you walk to that plate, you might not be, but you think that you are the best player on the field. And there have been many times that I've shared the field with a Pujols or a Bonds or a Alex Rodriguez, and they've been going good, and I wasn't the best player on the field, but by golly, when I stepped in that box and I looked out there, I don't care what the name is on the front of the jersey or the back of the jersey, to be honest with you, you got to throw it over that 17 inches. And if you do, I'm going to whack it.
Right.
And that never left me. We always go through ups and downs, highs and lows. It's a roller coaster, 162 game schedule. And you got to be able to deal with both of those as professionally and as efficiently as possible.
You've had so much success, and viewers and listeners, and I'm one of those. I like to know, like dive deep into the emotional side. When did you know that it was winding down? I know the years alone say that. Was it the body getting tired?
Mm-hmm.
Was it you couldn't catch up the way you wanted to from both sides of the plate with high stuff? When did you know, damn, I'm not that guy anymore? And at what point in your career did that hit you?
It started to hit me at about 38. So that was 2-3 years before I retired. The body starts telling you, for sure. I've had 9 surgeries, 7 of them on my knees, 1 on my hand, and 1 on my ankle. So, the back was starting to bother me. The neck was starting to bother me. It was just, it wasn't anything like, crazy, but it was just nagging and nagging and nagging. And I think that combined with the fact that when you get to the big leagues, the thing that kids have to adjust to more than anything else is the speed of the game. You know as well as I do playing in the NFL, going from high school to college to NFL, the big the big things that you have to adjust to is the speed of the game. Once you get to the big leagues, the game is so fast, man. It feels like you play 9 innings in 35 minutes, everything's just a blur. And then all of a sudden you get used to it and the game starts to slow down. And now it's like you're playing slow pitch softball, I mean, but as you get older again, the game starts to speed up again. So that combined with the fact that my body had gone through preparing and playing up to 200 games during the course of the season. When you talk about spring training and a lot of times in playoffs with the Atlanta Braves, we were playing pretty much 200 games. We were playing from Valentine's Day to Halloween. And, through 23 years in pro ball and 19 in the big leagues, it really took its toll. And I can remember coming home after my first day of spring training in 2012, and I felt great coming in spring training. I felt like I was going to have a good year, and I woke up the next morning and I could barely get out of bed.
The recovery did a lot less time in between to get it back. Wasn't there, my man? It hit you quicker.
And that's when I looked over at my wife and I go, I can't do this anymore. I was like, I'm going to finish this season because I pledged to play that season, but I'm done after this.
Okay, you're a first-round draft pick, first pick of the draft. You go through the minors and you step into the batter's box your first time. Who was it against? And you're that guy that I feel almost like you're so calm that there's no pulse when you're playing, and it's just such a casual in your mind, but you don't play casual, if you know what I mean, which is a good thing. So when you stepped in that batter's box the first time, any fear?
In the big leagues?
Yeah. I'm talking about when you came up to the big leagues and you stepped in that batter's box, who was it against? And when you were walking from the on-deck circle to the plate, were you like, damn, I'm here? What was the thought? Do you remember that far back what it was like?
I do. So I got called up on September 11th, 1993. And my main job, as we were in a big pennant chase with the San Francisco Giants. And if you'll remember that year, the Braves won 104, the Giants won 103 games,
right,
and missed out on the playoffs. So
which was unfathomable. It just is.
Exactly. Right. So my job when I got called up, Bobby calls me in and he says, he goes, I don't know how much playing time you're going to get. He goes, but I can promise you will probably see the field every game. I want you to concentrate on your base running. You're going to pinch run for Sid Bream and maybe some of our catchers late, because I could fly back, right when I got called up, I hadn't had the knee injuries and I could.
Yeah, you're a base runner too. You ran, right?
Yeah. So, so I got an opportunity to get in probably 3 or 4 games and just kind of get my bearings, get my feet under me, if you will, before I got my first AB. My first at bat was in Atlanta against a fellow by the name of Kevin Wickender, who I think he's in jail now. He's a lefty from Cincinnati. But anyway, I can just remember walking to the plate wearing number 16. That was my first number in the big leagues, and I couldn't feel my legs. I had been down there stretching because I knew I may have to pinch run or something, and I could the amount of adrenaline running through my body was crazy, and I stepped in the batter's box. I listened for the applause first.
Right.
What kind of ovation I got for the first time. And then I remember stepping in the box and digging in, and I remember my dad saying, "You ain't gonna walk your way out of Pearson, Florida, son. You're gonna have to swing your way out of Pearson, Florida." So my main concern was I'm gonna get 3 hacks in,
right,
regardless, And so it was a fastball middle away, and I tried to pull it, and I hit a I hit a swinging bunt down the third base line and beat it out for a base hit.
How about that? All
just,
that power, but all that speed. So
yep,
you think you're going to drive a ball into the gap and bam, but you still beat it out. So that's why you were there the first time, right, my man? It worked.
So, and I can just remember turning around and looking at Pat Corrales, our first base coach, and going, man, I'm hitting 1,000 in the big leagues, man. It only goes downhill after this.
So, I wonder how many guys got a swinging butt hit that are in the Hall of Fame with their first at bat. Honestly,
I would say not very many. I gotta thank Juan Samuel, the third baseman for Cincinnati, because he actually kind of came up with it in double clutch before he threw to first. So that gave
didn't know that white boy could run, did he?
Yeah, it gave me an extra step or two.
Chipper Jones joins us here, Hall of Famer. Chipper, when I say the name Bobby Cox, and I know you got a million stories, if you got a favorite one, we would love to hear it. When I say Bobby Cox, if you walk up to you, hey, Bobby Cox, what do you say?
Ultimate Players Manager. I always liken Bobby to, for me, my favorite granddad. You know, I had one granddad who was a minister and, you know, very straight-laced, by the book, disciplinarian, and then I had another grandfather that every time I shook his hand, he slipped me a 20, you know?
That's kind.
Yeah. So Bobby was kind of that favorite granddad. He wasn't, you know, he would never slip me a 20, but what he would do is, you know, I'd get to the park early and he'd be sitting out on the bench, full uniform, you know, spikes on, smoking a stogie in the dugout, and I'd get there early and sit down next to him and be like, tell me a Mickey Mantle story, you know, tell me a Whitey Ford story, you know, just tell me what it was like to be a New York Yankee. And the stories he would have for me were they were nuggets for me, you know, and I love it. Ultimate Players Manager, he actually broke the ejection record defending me in Atlanta and keeping me in the game. And I ended up getting a base hit to win the game later on in extra innings. My favorite probably ejection story for Bobby was we were in Cincinnati. Smoltz was pitching. Brett Boone hits a ball in the gap in right center field and slides in safe at third with a triple, but the slide carried him off the back. I kept the tag on him, and he should have been called out. Hunter Wendelstedt was a second generation umpire.
Yeah, wasn't Harry Wendelstedt was his pops, right?
Harry was an icon in the umpiring world. So Smoltzy's backing up third. Hunter's right there. He comes off. Smoltzy and I are both yelling at Hunter. I kept the tag on. Somehow, some way, Hunter and Smoltzy stepped on each other's foot and bumped. Okay? So Hunter runs him. First inning of the first game of the series, runs him. Bobby comes out. He is hot. He was like, you bumped him. Blah. Told Smoltzy to get back up on the mound. You're not out of this game. And Bobby had listened to some of the explanations that Hunter was given, and Bobby had finally had enough of it. And he goes, oh, Hunter, you wouldn't make a pimple on your daddy's ass. And Brett Boone and I literally, he took his helmet off and covered his face, and I had to cover my face with the glove because it was just something we weren't expecting to hear. And then all of a sudden he just like throws the most brutal, comeback or just undressed him, and it was hilarious. But prime Bobby when he went out there, best believe he was getting his money's worth.
Yeah, he never got cheated. Chipper Jones joins us here on Unpaid. Chipper, that story you tell about Maddox, my man, when Bobby sent out Leo to go get him, and he told him and said, I'm gonna get him out, he's gonna pop up to you. I've probably listened to that story, just go back and listen to it. And I've told it, not as good as you tell it, but that team full of with Smoltz and Glavine and Maddox and Cox and you, personalities galore. And I know you've probably got more. I don't know if there's a story with Maddox, and maybe you got one. I'd love to hear it that matches that. But what was your clubhouse like?
Oh, lovely. I mean, you never really knew what to expect because let's get one thing straight. You know, I mean, we were only as good as those big three. You know, I mean, those big three were the anchors. You know, I mean, there were some guys sprinkled in that were really good along with those three, but they were the anchors. You know?
Steve Avery was on that team too, and he wasn't that bad, right?
Chipper, Kevin Millwood, Denny Nagel. I mean, Jason Schmidt. There were a bunch of guys that were sprinkled through, like I said. And whenever we hit it right with 4 or 5 guys, well, you better watch out. We were winning 100 games. Didn't matter who we were playing. So it was. But what was so cool about the 3 of them is they are all 3 completely different. Completely different. Greg Maddox is the grossest human being I've ever met in my life. I mean, he's just, you know, he'll play 18 holes and come in, drop trowel, take one of the sanitary socks, wipe his rear end with it, throw it back in the sanitary bin, and sit there and wait for somebody to come put it on.
So he could look at it and so he could see it, right? So he could see their reaction.
I personally have put on a sanitary sock that had Greg Maddox's bacon strip on the shin. Okay, so gross, right? Oh, and then you've got Smoltz, who is just, I mean, he's a social butterfly, man. He's in everybody's conversation. He's, you know, the loudest guy in the room.
Has an opinion on all of it too, right?
He's the best player on the planet. Just ask him; he'll tell you. You know, that kind of guy. And then you got, you know, Glavine, who, I mean, he never says a word. Like, he sits over there in his corner. He does the USA Today crossword. He stays out of everybody's business. I mean, it's really fun to watch that dynamic. But then you get them on the golf course playing in the same group, and I mean, it's cutthroat, you know. So
competitive as hell, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, just really. But I think you have to have that disparity in personalities for everybody to get together. I think if you had 2 or 3 of those guys that were like Smoltz, that were competing for the room, the attention of the room, there might be some, you know, some clashes and whatnot. And everybody, you know, instead, Smoltz comes in and he's loud and he's telling, you know, dad jokes and whatnot, and everybody rolls their eyes and, you know, goes to the player lounge.
And Maddox is taking a dump and wiping his ass, waiting for somebody to pick it up.
There you go. So, yeah, those guys were great to be around.
That was a big part of, obviously, you guys winning the different personalities. What was it? People ask me, was there any good locker room fights? I mean, there's been some epic ones that people don't see or talk about now with social media. Maybe did you ever sit there? I had, you know, Rob Dibble, a good buddy, on a while back, and Dibbs was talking about the Pinella story with how they got to that fight. Any epic clubhouse fights that you got to see? Were you involved in one, or was there one where it's like, okay, this is on?
No, we never.
Really? 19 years.
We never. Now we would. Smoltz and I went at it verbally a couple of times, but Bobby quickly, you know, called us both in and squelched that. Listen, you're going to have disagreements.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have arguments. The great thing about Smoltz and I and the way we policed our clubhouse was, you know, once I took leadership reins, you know, got a couple years under my belt, everybody knew I was going to be there for a long time. Once I, you know, got to that point, Smoltz pulls me aside and he goes, look, position players don't take too kindly to constructive criticism from pitchers. Pitchers don't take constructive criticism from position players very well. It's up to me and you. Whenever there is a problem with a pitcher, you come to me. I'll handle it. Whenever there's a problem with a position player, I'll come to you. You handle it. And that was, that was one of the first times where I really said, okay, this is what um, cohesivity in the clubhouse looks like amongst a team. There's not one guy who says, this is my team. I'm the leader. I'm the only voice that's heard. No, it's not like that. We had a ton of guys who carried a bunch of weight. I mean, when Bobby spoke, it was like, E.F. Hutton, you know, but the rest of us also listened to each other and also had a voice as well.
Do you like today's game, Chipper? I'm sure some because you're you're a sports honk, but is it, do you watch a lot? Do you watch? I know a lot of former athletes don't watch as much. Do you watch much?
It's tough to watch because I feel like the fundamentals of the game have gone by the wayside as we've gotten more and more of these analytic uh, fantasy baseball type personalities. For some reason, getting jobs in the game. This is what we're going to have to deal with. They want the ball hit out of the ballpark. They don't feel like hitting a ground ball and putting it in play. They feel that's the same as a strikeout. Well, that's not the case. I mean, there are still certain rules to the game that allow you to manufacture runs, whether it's getting a guy over from second to third with nobody out, whether it's getting a guy in a plethora of ways from third base with less than two outs. You have to do those things in order to win close ball games because you're not going to hit 3 or 4 home runs off Jacob deGrom every night. You're
Right.
not going to do it. Granted, you're not going to string too many hits against them either. But the fact of the matter is, these guys are good on the mound because they keep the ball in the ballpark. So you have to find other ways to manufacture runs. You have to account for, or you have to make every 90 feet count when you get those opportunities because you just don't get them very often. So the way the game is played, it makes it tough to watch. And obviously, I'm a huge Braves fan. I'm a huge Brian Snitker fan. He came up with me through the minors, and love the guy to death. And I want them to be successful. I'll go in and be a third set of eyes for the hitting coaches, and I'll go in and help the guys whenever they call me. But the fact of the matter is, I still got 3 boys at home. I got 7 altogether, so I'm staying pretty busy myself here at the house.
Right. And, Chipper, you're as qualified as anybody to talk about it. You're just under 500 home runs, so power, obviously switch hitter, so you know both sides of the plate. And if I'm not mistaken, 2007, 2008, you led the National League in hitting at like 365 or something, 364. Am I right? So you covered that. So when somebody, you talk about these analytics, and I still don't understand it. People say, okay, old head or boomer, the shit that you hear when you say, well, wait a second now. At least when I put the ball in play, somebody's still got to field it, right? Somebody's got to make a play. When you talk about manufacturing, force somebody to make a play. Well, when somebody comes to you and says batting average doesn't matter, it's got to be baffling to you. When I go on Twitter, brother, and we're going in with our guy Fry, the rest of them are both back and forth, and some guy, and not saying that people shouldn't have an opinion, but some guy who's never seen it is telling you how to hit.
Yeah.
Now, how those things? What are the emotions you must feel after that? And I know you're pretty casual about it, but it's got to be odd for you.
It is. And I don't know if you saw one of my posts on X this past week. I'll get a little burr up under my saddle every once in a while because I don't believe you can have it both ways.
Right.
Your job when you walk up to the plate is to be the toughest out possible. That means grinding through every pitch, through every at bat to put the ball in play. There's a ton of ways once the ball is put in play for you to get on base that don't reflect batting average. Okay. But if you're going to tell me as someone in the front office or the analytics department or some Joe Schmo on X that batting average doesn't matter, and you're going to listen to certain ESPN personalities that are going to say batting average doesn't matter, then why isn't Andrew Jones and Dale Murphy in the Hall of Fame? You know,
Bingo. Yep.
they got the Gold Gloves, they got the MVPs, they've got the home run numbers, they've got the RBIs and the runs scored. Why aren't they in? I
You
mean,
can't have it
so
both ways,
you
just like you
can't
said.
have it both ways, and for that, I felt like, whenever you press send, sometimes you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't have,
Yeah.
maybe I
How many
shouldn't have
times we've been
pressed.
there? I'm with you. Because you know you're
Maybe
going to
I
have to get back in and dive in and battle them.
but on this one, I was like, send, send. I would have pressed it 10 times.
Sin with exclamation points.
Yes, I was proud of that one. So a lot of people agree with me, but the fact of the matter is, and this is another. My dad's so beautiful. He'd always say, "Son, you are never going to please everybody. So don't even try. Don't sweat it whenever it happens. You're not going to please everybody. There's always going to be somebody who thinks they know more than you, no matter what your resume is."
Did the baseball, you talk about the physical toll on your health. You've been I followed a lot of your stuff, my man, over the years, and you've been very transparent about, baseball and your personal life and the rest of it, which I love, man. It's you're a great story. And as I said, a great storyteller. How much effect did baseball have on your personal life, family life?
Oh, it was huge. When I first got called up, I'm playing on a superstation in Atlanta. We played, World Series the first 2 years I was in the league, 95, 96. I'm in everybody's living room every night. I'm on everybody's radio every day, every night. I'm from a really, really small town where I was big fish in a little pond. I enjoyed the attention. Wasn't really prepared for the amount of attention, the amount of fame, the money, the distractions, the temptations all hit me right at once. Couldn't handle it. And as a person who likes to try and please everybody, that's my dad telling me, "Hey, you can't please everybody." It was hard for me to say no,
Right.
And I think that what compounded that was that truly I was not happy at home. I was not content with my relationships early on in my career. And instead of keeping those temptations at arm's length, uh, I let them in.
Right.
And, it's something that I deeply regret. My parents raised me better than that. But we're going to make mistakes, along the way. I made some big ones, early on in my career.
Know the
But I
feeling,
think
brother.
sitting here at 53 years old now, I think it's those mistakes that you make and learning from them and growing from them that shape you into the person that you are today. And I couldn't be happier with the way my relationships are now. I couldn't be happier with the person that I've become. And I think I've seen, I've had my friends and whatnot tell me, "Hey, you're different." Like I played golf with Brian McCann yesterday, and he was like, "Man, it's so good to see you happy because for so long in the clubhouse, you didn't seem that way." And I think a lot of that came through in the book. I think whenever you're gonna write something in an autobiographical type manner, you're gonna have to expose the warts, and I think that's
The warts are
one
where
of
the
the
growth is, right, Chipper? Isn't that where
right,
the growth
right.
is?
And I think that's one of the big feedbacks that I've always gotten from people. It's not the ninth inning walk off homers or the World Series or playoff wins. It's like, man, I can't believe what you were having to deal with and go through behind the scenes, and still have to go out there and play. And thank you for giving us a window into what was going on.
You know, Chip, and sharing your window. A lot of us need to hear it and want to hear it, and it's impactful. And you talk about wanting to please everybody and not being able to say no. Did it? And we never got to see it much because you were so dominant on the field. But did you ever walk into a clubhouse for a game? Were you able to compartmentalize and separate it, or did you ever go to the plate or play third base thinking, and in between pitches, you're thinking, damn, I got to go home tonight, or we're in a fight, or I wonder if we're going to make it? Or did you take it on the field with you?
There were many times. There was a time or two where I actually went into Bobby's office and apologized for the way I was playing. I said, I never asked for a day off. And I said, Skipper, I need a day off. I go, my life is falling apart right around me. And I'm sure you can tell that something's going on because, you know, I'm not my usual self in the clubhouse, and I'm surely not playing on the field the way we all expect me to. But I need 24, 36 hours to just make some decisions and get some things handled in my life. And I guarantee you, when I come back, you know, things will be better. And he was like, absolutely, Chip. He goes, one time he told me to go home, like, don't even, no game. I'll say you were sick or something, you know. I mean,
Yeah,
but
just don't even
like,
dress out. Head back to the house.
Go back to the house.
Chipper, with that,
yeah.
Did it all? How were you able to? I guess trying to get into it. How were you able to deal with it, and it didn't fester over a full season? I guess, you know what I'm saying, the length of it. To be a guy who wanted to please everybody, you go home, have to go through your difficulties, come back. How were you able to not let that fester for a year or two? Because a lot of people go through it; it ruins them. Is it part of the way you were raised? How'd you get to that point?
That's when you go to the ballpark at noon and you don't leave until midnight.
Right.
You know, you try and get as far away from it. I mean,
your excuse is why you have to stay at the park or get there early, correct?
Yeah. I mean, that was my refuge. Like, I knew that if I was there, that I wouldn't be in an argument with my spouse, or I wouldn't have to be listening to, you know, whatever the problem was at that point, you know? So, yeah, it was my refuge, and I threw myself into the game. Yes, there were times when I just couldn't get over what was going on. It was too dramatic. It was too traumatizing for me. And that was when, you know, I asked Bobby for permission. But most of the time it was like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to sit in the film room and I'm going to watch Curt Schilling's last 3 starts. Okay, well, that's a good way to kill, you know, 2 hours,
right?
You know, and to be honest with you, it actually formed a habit that I took with me, you know, well into the rest of my career, because, you know, not only was it, you know, did it get me away from everything, I stopped thinking about it, but I was also like, I can't tell you how many times I picked up somebody was tipping a pitch, you know, because I was watching so much film. Number one thing I want to do whenever I watch a film is I want to know where his head's at. I want to know if he's 0-3 with a 6. I want to know if he's 3-0 with a 1. I want to know if he's 0-0 with a 4.5. You know, I want to know what's working for him. What he's struggling with him. Is he more efficient to the arm side? Is he more efficient to the glove side? All these things go into the making of a game plan for that particular night and that particular pitcher. So it's something, I came about it because I was trying to remove myself from some of my personal problems, and I gained a pretty good habit.
And I appreciate you sharing. Okay, get rid of the family. Just baseball, straight baseball. Biggest regret, or straight sports, but baseball, since you played it for so long. Biggest regret as a major leaguer? And I know Hall of Fame's got to be at the top. And whether it's an award or World Series, your biggest accomplishment, or the one that made your heart swell the most. So give me both. on the field?
Biggest regret, I would say, and it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about, was not being a better teammate more often. Like I had so much fun my last 2 or 3 years um, of playing because I was playing with a bunch of young, you know, high energy guys, Brian McCann, Jeff Francoeur, Freddie Freeman, Jason Hayward. I had such a blast playing with it. And they got to see me happy. They got to see me with my hair down. I wish I had done that a little more through the years, because I would have probably been a better player, a better teammate, through those kind of iffy years. Um, Biggest award.
Or just the one, was running off the field of the World Series? Was there a bat in the World Series? It could be
Yeah, I
one
mean,
particular play or pitch, that you hit. Just one that you say,
I'll
man,
give
that
you,
sticks out.
I'll give you one of each. Obviously, we play a team game. The championship, being the last team standing, is far and away the greatest. I will say this: I played in two others, got beat by the Yankees in '96 and '99. That experience of just playing in the World Series is so unbelievably awesome. I had so much fun. Yes, we lost. Yes, I was disappointed, but the experience walking into that stadium through those halls uh, was something that I'll never forget. Winning championships is ultimately what we're probably most gauged by. But the fact of the matter is, everybody asks me, what number are you most proud of? And going back to my comment about being the toughest out possible, being a part of the 300, 400, 500 club, 300 batting average of 400 on base, 500 slug for a career for 19 years is what I am most proud of, because when I say I want to be the toughest out possible, those three numbers reflect that. And not only reflect that, but the 500 says I'm doing some damage on the backside. So that's the one stat that I'm probably most proud of.
Helen, you're one more season when you're in your prime of being in the 500 home run club too,
Yeah,
which was phenomenal. All right. So with that in mind, if I say to you, what was more important to you if you had to give one up? World Series ring, MVP award. Cam Newton had recently said that he would rather win the MVP. So I'm talking to a guy who's a Hall of Famer, meaning you. What would you rather? I mean, is it even worth a question or an answer? An MVP or a championship? Give one back. What do you give him back?
MVP, 100%. There's nothing beats the championship. There's nothing beats being in a locker room with 25 other guys and being the last team standing. Let me tell you something. If you're losing 80, 90 games a year and you win the MVP, tell me how fulfilled you are at the end of the year. Because I can promise you this: we here in Atlanta playing in this organization, we're not happy if we're not winning games. And I guarantee you could ask the same question to Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox, Terry Pendleton, Dale Murphy. Dale Murphy is a perfect example. He did lose 80, 90, 100 games, and I guarantee he'd give every one of them back. He said, I could start before that with Hank Aaron as well. Hank Aaron, Dale Murphy, Terry Pendleton, myself. You go right on down the line with Freddie and the rest of the guys who are here, the guys that are here now. They will give up any individual accolades for that ring. We want rings around here.
You know what's interesting, Chipper? I remember watching on the Superstation back growing up in California, of the days when Bob Horner and you could hear the person in left field talk to the person behind home plate, or Dale Murphy. And just a sidebar, I think Dale Murphy belongs in the Hall of Fame, and switching from catcher to the outfield. But is there a better human being in the world than that guy?
He truly is a pleasure to be around. I mean, just lights up the room whenever he comes around. Just the most humble, likable superstar that you will ever be around. I'm so glad he's a part of this organization. He's plastered all over the stadium. He's plastered. His pictures are all over the clubhouse. People in this organization know the history of this organization. They know that Hank Aaron was the man. They know that Dale Murphy was the man. And you can go right on down the line. Our pictures are right there in the hallway as you walk in the clubhouse, of all the accolades, the MVPs, the batting titles, the Cy Youngs. We're all on the wall. They've got, murals of us with, our baseball card numbers, for a career underneath. So, these guys know the standard that they have to live up to when they walk in that clubhouse.
Couple more minutes with Chipper Jones. We'll let him go. Kind to share his time with us, and for you guys to be able to hear all this great stuff. Chipper, I get, I don't want to say criticized, but some people, I'm old school to the point. My dad, I can remember in the summertime, when you do family vacation, I was playing football, basketball, baseball, even in the summer, summer league baseball and travel and 7-on-7 passing league and all that. And my dad said, if you sign up, you're not going. We're not going on vacation, because when you've committed, whether it was the summer, this is just how you were. And I'm sure you get a feel because you know what I'm talking about. And that's not a pat on the back. It was just the way I was raised. Well, I've always had a problem. I hate scheduled days off. I know they do it. I know. And I had an interesting thing it was Mike Cameron told me about a week ago. Mike said, Sean, it's different with all the money. You're preserving the guy, time off at this time of year to hope that he's, fresh and ready to go. Either way, I don't know if there's a right answer, and I get it because Mike played 17 years, you played 19. But for me, I hate days off unless you're hurt or even hurt. Hell, I'm sure you played hurt. There's a difference between hurt and injured in my mind. Hurt, it is you fight through it. That's a blister. That's a sore elbow. You're tired. Injured is, well, we got to get you right, and you're hurting the team. When I look now like load management in the NBA or in baseball, if I tell you, Chipper, and you said you never asked for a day off, and so if I say, hey, Chipper, you're only going to play about 130 of them this year, we're going to preserve you, and you're in the prime of your career. Where do you stand on days off? You know the grind of 162 a year. Share it with me. You're a Hall of Famer. Talk me off the ledge of hating days off.
In the prime, it's not going to happen. Now, I will say, coming down my last 2 years, I was 39 and 40 years old. And
well, you get that hall pass, brother. You can have those then.
My skipper, Freddie Gonzalez, he came up to me in spring training. He goes, we're going to sit down and we're going to map out each week at the beginning of the week, and if we do have a scheduled off day and I can get you an extra 24 hours, I want to do that for you, because the fact of the matter is we need you healthy. We need you fresh, I guess, as fresh as you can be, and then all of a sudden we're coming down the stretch in 2012. I had about 6 weeks left before my career is over. And I'll never forget, I was on social media one day, and this guy gets on there and he goes, I drove 6 hours to wherever with 3 kids. I spent, X amount of dollars just to come see Chipper Jones for the last time, and he doesn't play, and I'm thinking to myself, he's right. You know what? I'd be pissed too, So from that point on, I went into Freddie's office and I'm like, there's a lot of people coming to these stadiums, to watch me one last time. And I want to play every day. I don't want to take any off. At least, if we're busting somebody's rear end or they're busting ours, you can give me a few innings off at the end, but I'm not missing any, because I would feel the exact same way this guy does. I've never been a fan of load management. If the Bulls come into town to play the Hawks, I want to go see Michael Jordan.
Hell yeah.
If the Lakers are coming in to play the Hawks, I want to see Kobe Bryant. That's everybody feels that way when there's a incoming
Right.
I guess you could say star, on another team. Everybody wants to come in and watch Shohei Ohtani when he comes in town. He ain't taking any days off. He don't
Right.
want to take any days off.
Right. The bottom of the ninth inning, you can't have Smoltz, Glavine, or Maddox, not anybody on your team. You're playing third base, and whoever Bonds is at the plate. I don't care. Whoever you think is, you're playing somebody, whether it's in another, it's the World Series, another league, or in the NLCS, whatever it is. You got to get an out, and you're playing third base, and it can't be one of your guys. Who's pitching?
Oh, I'll take the greatest closer of all time, Mariano Rivera, man.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Now we got a complete game. We're not letting he's going to, your starter's going too good. Your starter's going to, we're not getting to the closer. Although if it was Rivera, you're getting to the closer. So take him out of it. It's the start. We're going Bob Gibson complete game type of thing. So who is your guy that's getting it out? And I guess, is it, since you're in the National League, give me an American leaguer, the great hitter. If your favorite American, who's the best American League hitter you ever saw?
Best American League hitter. I always liked Edgar Martinez.
Okay, and anybody can be Gwen. I'll even give you a National League, right? You're coming. You got it. And it's the ninth inning. He's got 90 pitches. He still velos up.
Yeah.
And it's coming. And you want to go to the closer, but you're not. I'm not letting you do that either. I'm putting all these restrictions on you. Who is on the mound, and who's he facing?
It's funny you're giving me these requirements because he got in trouble, way back in the day, or he got his manager in trouble way back in the day because he told his manager, "I'm good," and his manager didn't. I'm talking about Pedro Martinez,
right?
And the reason I say Pedro is because Pedro had dominant stuff, plus pitch, 3 plus pitches, okay, but he had that dog in him, man. Like he had that bulldog in him that, nope, I ain't coming out. Get your rear end back in the dugout. This is my game. And I love that. Not only the dominant stuff, I would probably say Randy Johnson too, but he's left-handed, and more times than not, if they do put the ball in play against him, it's coming to me, and I don't want that.
Then it goes somewhere else. That's right, because he's throwing a buck, and he's throwing a $2 or a $3, right, for the left side. Absolutely.
Yeah. So but Pedro had, Randy had 2 pitches. Kurt Schilling had 2 pitches. Rocket had 2 pitches. Pedro had 3, and he had that. I'm gonna.
He's a mean son of a bitch, wasn't he?
I'm gonna shove it up your rear end.
Yeah.
He ain't trying to make any friends out there.
Football season. Let's get to you're a Steeler guy too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's give me your prospects for your Florida Gators and for your Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers. You got this Lagway kid who's special, and you got Aaron Rodgers who's about at your point where you were, Chipper.
Yeah.
But we ain't giving him any days off, right? At this time, people want to see him, see what he's got. What do you think?
Well, starting in Gainesville, I'm a big Billy Napier fan. I think he's there for a while. I think the inmates were running the asylum down there, and I really feel like he kind of cleaned it up a little bit. DJ Lagway could have gone anywhere, from the state of Texas, and Coach Napier, went and got him and kept him, even when things were looking bleak. And I think last year really turned around everybody's view of Florida, where they were kind of teetering on being from the middle
almost
of the
got fired
to the bottom.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the fact that they came out with the toughest schedule in America last year and managed to go 8-4, really excited about that. Schedule doesn't get any easier this year. It's going to be just as tough. Whenever you're throwing Texas and Georgia and I think we got Tennessee and LSU as well. That's a gauntlet. So hopefully, to be honest with you, I would be happy to see them close the gap. To close the gap from where they were to where the elite teams are in the SEC. Close the gap. Be in games. Go into the fourth quarter, winning or tied in a few of them, or within a score. All those things they got crushed. 3 or 4 years ago. They were getting hammered. So really excited about that. And then I don't know what to think about the Steelers. I know they have the most expensive defense in the NFL. So I'd like to see some 3-and-outs.
It'd be nice. That's a tough division to get him in with those quarterbacks there too, right?
Yes, 100%. So I think the Aaron Rodgers will do just fine. He's still a very capable quarterback. The problem with the offense, over the past few years has been the line, and can we get some consistent offensive line play so that we can play Steeler football? I feel like you have the right offensive coach in Arthur Smith is the
coordinator.
OC up there. He wants to run the football. So let's get back to playing Steeler football. Let's maul people up front. You got a really good running back, Caleb Johnson, that came in from Iowa. Jaylen Warren's a little scat back as well. And I mean, you got an absolute stud on the outside. So I don't know why there's any reason to believe that they won't be in the hunt there in the North.
Yeah, and Mike Tomlin's teams always have winning records, so it should be fun.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
Do you have like a Saturday, Sunday routine at the house, Chipper? I mean, like for football, or do you and your buddies get together? What's your routine?
Saturday, Sunday involves college game day. See, everybody, I live in Georgia. I live in Canton, Georgia. So all my buddies here are Georgia fans. So I got to listen to that crap all the time, I mean, but yes, we will get together for at least one game on Saturday. Normally it's Georgia. I love Coach Smart, by the way.
He's awesome.
Absolutely one of my favorite people on the planet. It's hard to root against Georgia. I've been here in Georgia for 32 years of my life. So, and then Sunday, I can honestly say I am addicted to fantasy football. Okay. So whereas in years past, I've just been worried about the Steelers and the Falcons, my one AFC team, one NFC team. Now I get to watch. Now I'm interested in all the games because, if I got DK Metcalf and Rodgers doesn't throw it to him, I'm throwing a flip-flop off the TV. I mean, that's just that's the way I am. But I'm in a league with 11 other retired baseball players. So to say that.
No, don't let that go yet. Not over yet. Triple E, are we good? Do not let him go yet.
I think he dropped off.
Hopefully we'll get him. But there you go. You fit off. You got 12. You and 11 other.
Me and 11 other retired baseball players are in this league. So when you win your division, you make it to the playoffs, and you ultimately win this league. Not only are you monetarily compensated, you got the smack talk over the whole offseason. So,
well, before I give you this last question, but you mentioned that, I'm going to text you this. It's called the Renegade Fantasy League. That this new app that a couple buddies of mine came out with, that it's the only fantasy football app that allows you to, in real time, let's say your quarterback gets hurt, you have to wait till the waiver wire the next week. You can substitute in real time and not lose the points, put your backup quarterback in.
Oh, that's awesome.
See, and you guys should do your league, but this league, I'm going to send you the app. Because I'm in the league. This is my first year starting. Like, it's going to be epic, dude. And your guy's underperforming. You can pull his ass out, put him in. And it's going to be. So now instead of, you can throw it at the TV, but still get points. Does that make sense? So yes, I'm going to send it to you. And if you and your buddy say, well, let's add another one. There's money involved there too, but I'll send that to you. It's called Renegade Fantasy app, but I'll send it to you.
Okay.
So final thing. Good. I know you love golf like I do. I'm addicted to the apparel, the equipment. I want to play all the courses. Okay, it's you and 4 others. It's your dream foursome. I guess dead or alive. Is that fair? We're playing a 5-some, so it's 5. Who is it? Who's in the Dream Fivesome? It's you. And where are you playing it before we get out of here?
To be honest with you, I think I may have already played my Dream foursome. To be honest with you, I played in a group. Granted, it was Smoltzy and Frank Core, but I had Tiger and Annika in the same
good gracious.
group, both as number one in the world at the same time. You know, so to say that that was like the coolest 45 holes that I've ever played in my life in a day in spring training is an understatement.
Sorenstam, Tiger, and they're both number one in the world. And Frenchie and Smoltzy.
Frenchie and Smoltzy, yeah. So that's a pretty cool one. If I could substitute somebody for Smoltzy, it would probably be.
And I guarantee he's playing right now. You and I both know it's somewhere.
They played in front of us. Him and B-Mac played in front of us yesterday with Gary Woodland. So out at our place. So I'm sure he's doing it again. I would probably say MJ. I've gotten a chance to meet him a couple times. I actually played his place down in Jupiter Grove 23.
Yeah, that one he built, which is supposed to be epic.
Yeah,
you tell me.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So, and you know, if MJ does something, he's going to do it to the hilt. You know,
right.
So we had a blast out there. Yeah, and knowing that MJ and Tiger would kind of.
Oh, that's be a lot of shit talking, my man.
Yeah, and then you know I got to see Annika and Tiger kind of needle each other, you know. So it's just the whole dynamic is intriguing to me.
I love. Where would you play it? I mean, you got the big one. You got Augusta right around it, but you pick the spot. You get to pick it for the fivesome. Where are you playing it?
I would say Stadium Course in Jacksonville, TPC Sawgrass.
Really? Have you played it?
Yes, I played it probably 10 times. It's one of my favorite tracks.
Well, one of these days we should get a group together. I have not played that. I just spent time at Monterey Peninsula Country Club, Spyglass, Pebble Beach, and Cypress Point about a month and a half ago. One of these times we'll have to get a group together. And if you want to leave Smoltzy out, we can group together and go to Cypress Point because my buddy connect and put it together and knock it around there. And just the fact that even when you're playing shitty, it's okay because I'm sitting there staring at it's one of those courses. It's the built-in excuse for me when I'm like, oh man, I didn't play well, but boy, the ocean was nice. So phenomenal.
Yeah, I got that feeling whenever I played Augusta 3 times, and there's no bad round of golf out there, man. It's like it's so much fun just to walk those grounds, and TV doesn't do it justice from the standpoint of Augusta National may be the most beautiful place on the planet, kind of like you're talking about with like Pebble, you know
right?
What I mean?
Exactly.
It that's on your side of America. This one's on my side.
Well, I don't want to beg, but listen. I'll crawl 10 miles over broken glass to get there. If that's what I got to do. I can look at azaleas just as easy as I can the ocean, dude.
There you go.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. You seem like you're in a great place. And I look forward to doing this again, man. Maybe we'll have one football, but I'm going to send you some information on that Renegade. You just take a look because then you could save some remotes and broken TVs when your TV's not doing well.
All right, buddy.
It's great to talk to you, Chipper. A pleasure. Honored, my man. Thank you.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate it. The great Chipper Jones. Been wanting to do that for a while. The best thing about my job, and I am dead serious of all these years, it ain't the paycheck. I'm not even talking about playing. It's not the paycheck. That's nice. It's not, the fact that, coming up with, okay, you get a little, man, I get to interview this guy and this guy. And I'm not a fanboy, but I am a respectful and honored to get to guys. There's guys you want to talk to that I've wanted to talk to you when I told you David Pollock, his story. And, guys, we'll have Super 70s Sports Ricky Cobb on tomorrow. You're going to love it. He's funny. He's the guy who does go on Twitter, Super 70 Sports, and you're going to see some of the great old time things that will take you back to your childhood. He's awesome. We'll get, Colt Nosed golf announcer next week. But for Chipper Jones, I've been a fan because the baseball is my first love, followed by basketball. Football was a love later in life. And to get him on, it's truly an honor, and to have him share stories about his life and baseball and clubhouse and golf, those things matter. I ask questions I don't know the answer to. And just to get a chance to talk with him, and talk with guys. It's the best part of my job. And I'm so glad you guys get to tune in and hear it. And that's the greatest part about this platform and having relationships with guys like Chipper and others, is that you get to talk a little trash, get to have fun, but get to hear the great stories about their life and career experiences. Think about it again, guys. He's won the Silver Slugger twice. He was the first pick of the draft. He's won a World Series, been to 3. He's the MVP. He led the league in hitting 364 in 2008. He's a Hall of Famer. You heard him mention the 500, 500, 500 club and almost to 500 home runs. I mean, what didn't he do? And even then, he still talked about his struggles, about getting to the ballpark, and how baseball obviously was great to him, but also affected the family life. Stories we need to hear, stories I need to hear. So a special thanks to Chipper Jones. Spectacular. Now he can get back out on the golf course and tee it up and let it rip. And I love the fact that he and Smoltz, he gets to rib. Now I got to give Smoltz equal time, right? So he gets back in here and can talk about Chipper in a fun way too. Great stuff. People are going to love it. Share it with your friends. Triple E, thank you. Laura behind the scenes, thank you. JB on vacation, and to Chipper Jones, phenomenal. I've been waiting for that interview for a lot of years, and for you to make that decision like that and come on, awesome. We'll see you guys tomorrow right here on Unpaved. We'll get Ricky Cobb, Super 70 Sports, and man, you're going to love this one because there are going to be a lot of laughs and a lot of shit talking tomorrow. Thanks again to Chipper Jones. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you guys being involved in this one today. Talk to you later.